Alright everyone, thanks for coming. Who do we speak to about a bright orange Land Rover being donated? So yeah, at Day One Trauma, it is basically what it says on the tin. You know, from day one, we support people who've been through major trauma. So I'll tell you a little bit about mine first. Something like this. Tell you a little bit about like my trauma and sort of why I ended up being involved. So on the 26th of June 2013, my life was changed forever, really. I didn't sort of know in what way, didn't sort of know about much at all when it happened. I was in a motorbike accident. Day started out just like any other. I was just gone into work, done a day's work. There was actually a Kasabian concert going on that night at the Spa in Bridlington where I live, so I was really excited for that. Me and all my friends were going. Next thing I know, after about a week and a half, I'm brought out of a coma in Hull Royal Infirmary. I've never really remembered any of the accident, which they say is like a defence mechanism from your brain, you know, so that you don't go through more trauma, flashbacks and stuff. But I've since been told I was just riding home down the industrial estate, and then you can turn left or right. So I went right, and at the end of that road was a roundabout, left to Brid where I live, right to Hull. So I was just overtaking traffic there. I have been in situations before where maybe I should have been killed on my bike and it would have been my own fault. This, I was actually just doing less than the speed limit. And there was like a little shortcut, little country road that would have cut you to Hull. So someone's thought, I'm not waiting in this traffic, turned down that, and as they've turned, they've just gone straight into me. My bike ended up in someone's garden in 3 pieces. I hit a speed sign on the way over, snapped my shoulder. Yeah, it's a bit of a bad day. Everybody who I know, all the other fellas from work were like passing, so they all stopped and saw all the, my blood was all over the road for months afterwards. It was a bit bad, and the air ambulance came and took me to Hull Royal. So they'd let my family know as well, so when I got there, my dad and my sister were there, waiting, and they'd actually prepared them for the worst. They'd told them, like, you know, I might not come out of surgery. And my sister told me that when they were wheeling me in, I grabbed her hand and I said, Amy, I love you, but I'm gonna die, don't worry about it, I love you. So I can only imagine what she felt like I didn't know where I was. Anyway, they put me in a coma to heal, and then I woke up out of the coma. They brought me out after about a week or so. I was moved to multiple different wards because I never actually knew how busy hospitals were until I spent time in them. There was never any beds anywhere, but they moved me around. So first I woke up in the head injury ward, which was quite strange. So I didn't know what was going on, and everybody had head injuries and stuff like that, so it was like I didn't know what was real. I was gone through quite a lot in the coma as well, some weird visions and stuff. And then I was finally moved onto the orthopaedic ward. I still had my leg at this time. I had a cage around it, pins all the way down holding it together, and they used to come and like tickle my toes to see if I could feel it. Every day they'd come and tickle my toes, and I'd be like, nah, I can't feel it. I never thought anything about it, I just thought it was tickling me, I don't know. And then one day, there was one nurse who, I mean, they were so busy there, like they never got a minute to themselves, any of the nurses. It was unreal how much time they don't have. But one of them really made a point to come and speak to me every day, and so because I was the one who'd been there longest and had the worst injuries on the ward. And one night she came to speak to me and said, has anyone spoke to you about what might happen, Sam? I said, I don't know what you mean. She said, they might have to amputate your leg. So I kept getting infections all the way down, and I could never feel my toes. And it didn't really hit me. I was like, oh, all right, whatever, went to sleep. And the day after that, they took me into surgery and took my leg. And everybody says to me, how did you feel when you woke up without your leg? I'm sure you'll have the same thing. I didn't feel anything. I still couldn't move. My shoulder was knackered. I was on tons of painkillers. I was still just laid in the same bed, not able to move. So I was in hospital for another month. My dad and my sister used to come every single day, and my brother-in-law, they came to see me. So I was very well supported by my family and my friends. I wasn't really eating any hospital food, and I remember my dad brought me lobster one day, bring me Mexican, you know, it really, I mean, I was skinny, I'm not a big guy now, but I was like half the size I am now when I was in hospital. And it didn't, the hospital was a very strange place for me. It was, I didn't know what was going on. I'd seen all this weird stuff in my coma. I was frightened, to be honest, when I was there. And then it came to going home. So they finally discharged me after a couple of months, got me wheelchair. I was excited to go home, my family was excited to have me home. And then it was just like, wow, then the recovery journey really started, and then it was like, what do I do now? There's a massive sort of grey area from, like in hospital you're looked after, you know, you get all your painkillers, you get looked after, you get your physio and stuff. Then you get home and it's like, yeah, what now? So it took about 18 months for me to get back to work. All I ever wanted to do was just get life back to normal, go back to work, just do the things I used to do. But that 18 months was, it was tough, and it was tough on my family. I had to move back in with my dad. I'd just bought my first house a year before. I was living in that with friends, and I had to move out of there, move in with my dad. I couldn't use crutches because I'd snapped my shoulder. So it was pretty tough, really. And my dad, you could see it in his face, like he was agonising over it. He was distraught every day that, you know, I was always fit and healthy, really active. So yeah, it was, the recovery journey after leaving hospital is tough. But I was determined to get back to work, do the things that I normally do. When I went to get my first leg, I took in tons of paperwork on snowboarding feet. I was like, I want to go snowboarding. You know, I was a big snowboarder anyway, so I was like, forget about walking. I want to be on my snowboard again. And they was like, no, let's get you walking first, Sam. So then I realised about the limb centres we've just been talking about, and you sort of think the Paralympics have been on and everyone's like, oh, you'll get whatever you need, you can go, you know, you'll get a snowboarding leg, you'll get this leg, you'll get that leg, and all that stuff is available. You don't get that. You get a pole and a foot. So I was really excited to get my first leg, and then I was swiftly flattened by it, to be honest, because I couldn't do a right lot on it, and it took some getting used to. And then eventually I went, I was lucky enough to be able to go private after that. So I did get a leg that I could snowboard on and you know, play squash on, ride my bike, you know, and a very good fitting leg. And then since then, because of how expensive they are, I am back under the NHS, which is good now because I know what's available and I know what's out there and I know what to ask for. But yeah, if you didn't know that, there's not a lot available. So I guess this leads to why I got involved with Day One. I actually heard about them through a job I used to do. I was Charities and Partnerships Coordinator for Fletcher Solicitors, and my job was to go and find charities that you know, sort of held the same values as us, that we could get involved with. That, I mean, when I came across Day One, I will admit it was a bit of a selfish one. Like, you know, I've been through a lot of trauma. I'm going to get involved with a trauma charity and help because I know all about it. So I arranged a meeting with Kirsty. We went for coffee, and she told me all about what Day One do, the peer support, and just being there in hospital. Which, you know, I look back at my journey and I feel like I always say to people, if I had myself now, you know, Henry now come to speak to me when I was in hospital, I feel like my recovery would have been sped up by about 4 or 5 years, because I'd have had someone who knows how to navigate the roads. Like, you know, even such as that 18 months when I was at home trying to recover, I had a mortgage to pay. You know, my work only paid sick pay for so long, and then I've still got a mortgage to pay. If I didn't have my dad and my sister, I don't know what I'd have done. Yeah, you can apply for disability, but then that takes a month to get the forms, then you fill the forms in, then they come back, you fill the forms in wrong, then it takes another month to get, you have to go have a meeting with them, and then you have to go to a meeting and tell someone how unable you are to do things and how weak you are and how vulnerable you are, which was, for me, was hard to do. So Without my family, I don't know what I'd have done. And there are people that are on the trauma ward that don't have family, that don't have friends to be there for them, you know. So that's again where we come in. It's so important, you know, and this is why when I was speaking to Kirsty, like originally it was for us to get involved as a business, and more and more I was just like, what can I do? How can I get involved? So she introduced me to Carly, who runs the peer support programme, and straight away put my name down. So we have calls with patients, you know, just general chat, just to, you know, when you've been through something like major trauma, like anything in life, if you meet someone who's been through something similar to you, you have kind of like an instant connection, don't you? So, you know, like I haven't known Henry that long, but we've got this connection with, he's probably the first amputee I've met who's about my age, into similar things, and now we're doing the West Island Way together, you know. It's just, you have like a bit of a connection, and there's things that we've been through that our friends and family haven't, you know. We sort of get each other in that way. And it was probably about 8 years till I spoke to another amputee. I didn't think I needed to. I'll just get on with it, you know, it's fine, it's happened to me, I'll get on with life, you've got to move on, which I agree with. But when I first started meeting other people who've been through similar things, it was just like this weight off my shoulder, like I was saying about being in a coma. I thought I was going crazy because it terrified me in hospital. And then it was actually another day one event, and Gary brought it up, and he said, so what about the dreams? Has anyone seen that? It's like, well, you've had them as well. And I can't even describe it. It's just like sort of like a dream / nightmare / vivid hallucination that is real to you. So when I woke up in hospital, all this weird stuff was real to me. I was terrified, and I thought there was something wrong with me. And then I've spoken to more and more people about it, and they've all been through it. And just speaking to people who have gone through something similar, you know, it just helps. And again, we have Marianne on the ward, and she helps people from day one with financial situations. She looks for grants for people. She can help them apply for benefits so that when they get home, they're not just home thinking, what now? But of course, we're a charity, we're not government funded, although I feel like every hospital should have something like this government funded. So of course we have to raise money and ask for donations and stuff. So Henry was actually doing the West Island Way, wasn't he, at first? He was planning to do it last year before I'd met him, but that didn't go ahead, and then I met him, and Semi showed a bit of interest, and then Kirsty and Hayley put me down for it. So yeah, we in May we're going to be going walking 96 miles over 7 days, wild camping, hobbling if we have to, but we'll make it in the hopes of raising as much as we can for the charity. That Henry can tell you a lot more than me about what this charity does, from being on the receiving end. But I cannot say enough how important the day one is, and we would absolutely love anybody who's able to scan the QR code, which is lying about somewhere, or speak to Kirsty and Hayley about donating towards our little trek, and that would be great, really. Over to you, Henry.
Thank you very much. Right, so similar vein, I was in a motorbike accident in 2018. I'd just started a new job. I was my 4th day, and I was commuting from Halifax to Leeds City Centre, and I was going down the A58, just gone through Wyke, and out of nowhere an SUV's pulled out of the side street and just gone straight to the side of me. You can't remember anything, I can remember everything, except my brain went to slides. So I just see random images of going through the front of a car, and then coming to a stop. And I've broken bones before, on and off my motorbike, but this felt completely different. I picked my leg up and it just turned to jelly, so I just put that back down, And all, by this point, there's lots of people stopped in traffic. They've all come to help, and the pool of blood was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you could see the panic in everybody's faces. I remember looking down. There was a woman holding my leg, with this look of fear on her face. Paramedics came. They sorted that out. They were absolutely fantastic. Took me straight on to LGI. Then I woke up. I was in their A&E, and my consultant was all I heard out of the whole conversation was the word amputation, and I just lost it. And he was telling me the choices that I had, but he was basically saying that amputation was the best option. I couldn't deal with it. So what they did is they put me back under, but before that they went, we're just going to have to poke around, so we're going to put you to sleep. Later I found out that when they basically, my foot had been between both engines at point of impact, and it just popped. So they had my heel, most of my foot had come out of my heel, and they said cleaning it up, opened it up, and the heart bit just fell out. So there wasn't much left to work with, but they put a scaffolding frame around my leg to keep it safe for a few days, just so I could make my mind up on what we wanted to do. And that gave me enough time to speak to anyone who'd listen. I'd chew anyone's ear off as long as they let me, really. And that's when I had a visit from day one. And they came to speak to me about my options for finances, because obviously it was the fourth day of a new job. I wasn't getting sick pay. I lost that job. They kept me on for a little bit, but that didn't last very long. So I was out of work, didn't know really what to do. So they gave me lots of advice, but most of all, they arranged for an amputee to come speak to me, a peer support volunteer. His name was Bob. Different circumstances, but still, he'd been in an accident, lost his leg below the knee, but he tried to save his leg, which was my other option. But in saving it, we would have to take a muscle out of my shoulder to wrap around all the stuff that I'd lost in my foot, so I'd be down a shoulder, down a leg, and I'd be in hospital for a very, very long time. Or have amputated, which they'd already said was the best option. So Bob came to see me. We went through all his issues, all the positives that he had. He tried to save it for 7 years, infection after infection after infection. Eventually he just went, I've had enough, let's get rid of it. And he was pretty much, as soon as he was healed, up on a prosthetic and active. So that gave me the confidence to say, yes, I'll go for the amputation, I'll have it off, and I'll see what happens, I'll try and get on with the rest of my life. So having a peer support volunteer come and speak to me that had been through the same situation in a way, it was next level vital. It was so important, and straight away I said, I now have to do that. So as soon as I was able, I was in contact with Day One constantly throughout my whole journey, and as soon as I was able to, mentally and physically, that's when I signed up to be a peer support volunteer, go on the wards, and where I've met Sam. And even just doing this, I can bend Sam's ear on what problems what I'm having with my prosthetic, and you'll tell me things that I never even knew because you're 5 years on from me. So it works out really well, and it's definitely something that needs more backing, because I probably wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in now and being up on my feet so quickly after my accident if it wasn't for having a peer support volunteer help me come to the decision that I came to. So it's definitely vital that we can push this to become a much bigger thing. Hence the fundraising and the walk, doing the West Highland Way, trying to get a bit more awareness on the charity itself. So that's about me really.
I think just touching on that, what you say, you know, me and Henry can like speak to each other and give each other advice on limbs. I mean, we've both been amputees for years. There's no like handbook for a new amputee, you know, or you know, any injury that you've been through. So when you do leave hospital, like just having us to talk to, you know, they can say, how do you go about this? You know, certain things in everyday life, how do you go about this? You know, we've had to pick them up and learn the way, you know, how to get on with certain things. Like even just for me with snowboarding, I couldn't get the snowboarding boot on my foot. And I was trying for ages, and then I'm looking on YouTube, how do you do it? And some people are saying, cut your boot down, cut your boot down. I'm like, I can't cut my boot down. You put a plastic bag over your foot and slide your boot on. You know, but no one told me that. My prosthetist didn't know that. You know, there's just little things that you pick up that, you know, if someone speaks to us and mentions something that they're into, like, oh, you need to speak to so-and-so, you need to do this. You know, it's vital, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, it is.